Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic. Happy New Year, everyone. So today is going to be my first video for 2020. So we're going to have a pretty good topic tonight. But before we get started, if you could go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the notification button so as new content come available, you'll get the notifications that I'm on and I'm going in. So tonight's topic, we're gonna call it love and marriage. So today I got into a conversation with a group of people about the reasons why people choose to stay married and the reasons why they choose to get a divorce. And a couple of the ladies, well, in the group, myself and two of the ladies, we both have been in marriages. The other two ladies I was speaking with have both been divorced before. They left their spouses with children. Like, it was that bad to where it wasn't enough for them to stick around in a toxic situation. So they both kind of really couldn't understand why someone would stick around in a toxic situation. In their mind, it's like, okay, well, if I'm not happy, I can't do this anymore. Like, how do you function in a situation that you're just not happy? Like where they do that at? Like, how you do that? And I gave a different perspective. I've talked to a lot of people over the years, and I personally feel as though the 50% of people who are married, because as they say, 50% in a divorce, 50 are married. I feel like half of the 50% that are still married are not happy. I feel like a lot of people choose to stay together for reasons such as finances. They can't afford the child support, especially if there's multiple children. They can't afford to, take care of two different households as far as if they get their own place, as well as take care of the household where the children are. They just can't do it. So they try to cohabitate together. So some people can do it. And then you have those who can't do it. I feel like if you can do it for the sake of the children and they're not seeing any arguing, and they're able to see you live together and act mature and show a good example of two adults effectively communicating with a common goal, I mean, it can be done. But if it comes down to there's visible dysfunction and the kids are picking up the negative energy, a spouse isn't coming home at night, any of the signs that basically that's recognizable to everyone in the household, I mean, I think we have a problem. I think when it comes down to the well-being of the children, I think they should always be put first. And I don't believe that choosing to still live underneath the same roof is always best for the children. As I stated, especially if it's a situation where the parents aren't getting along, I don't think that's ever good for the parents if the kids are witnessing the arguing, the fighting, just the visible disconnect. And, one of the ladies I was speaking with, she mentioned that her girlfriend was in a marriage for 26 years and she's getting a divorce. She wasn't quite sure who asked for the divorce, whether if it was her girlfriend or her husband, but she couldn't understand how after so many years there was a decision to just part ways. And I told her I once questioned the same thing, but as I got older and, I'm married and just started living life, experiencing things, I came to understand why some people choose to get divorced later on in life. And I feel like, a lot of times people are just going through the motions. They're choosing to stay together for something that's bigger than them, their family, their children. I've heard stories of, okay, once the child got dropped off at school, one of, the people in the marriage saying, hey, I can't do this anymore, as though like he was like counting down, like, okay, this ain't working. And it's sad, but I feel like it's a reality for a lot of people, because people nowadays, I mean, times are tough, and I think that a lot of people find it easier to survive, in this world living with someone versus by themselves, especially if there's children involved. And I think that if you do have two people in a relationship that are mature enough to live together and have an understanding that, okay, we're doing this for the kids, we're not going to show a bad example as far as with us just arguing, fighting. Like, we want them to see that we're two mature adults that are living together and raising children. I think it can work, but if there's visible dysfunction where mama and daddy ain't talking to each other, mama or daddy ain't coming home at night, I think it comes time where you just have to break ties and just do what you have to do. Because at that point, I don't feel like you're doing the children or anybody in the home any favors. I think it becomes harder on the children when they're able to visibly see the disconnect between their parents. I think that the kids and how they feel, that should always be in the forefront, whether that's your motivation to stay together or if that is your reason for leaving. What's best for the kids should always come into play. And I don't feel like it's always best for the kids for the parents to stay together. And instances where there is abuse, I don't think that's ever a good situation to be in, and when you do have children, because I feel like, the longer you stay in a toxic situation, the harder it becomes to leave. So I feel like soon as you see that it's starting to have an impact on you and your children, it's time to go, and it's just time to cut your losses and keep it moving. So I've heard people say, well, I want to stay together because, this is what people in my family do. They stay together. So that's a motivation to stay together. I've heard people say, well, I want to stay together because I'm embarrassed to admit that my marriage didn't work out. So I want to stay together. And both of those reasons, I feel like, are not good reasons to stay in a marriage. I feel like if the love is gone and you're no longer showing respect for one another, it's time to go. What else? What are we doing? It's time to go. I feel like it's important for women, with me being a woman, and when I talk to women, I think it's important for women to always keep their independence. So therefore, when that day comes, the going gets tough, they have some type of resource to be able to get up and leave and remove themselves from a bad situation. And I feel like women who have lost their independence during the relationship often find it most difficult to leave, because at this point it's like, okay, where am I going to go, or who's going to want me? I've gained weight, like I'm older, and like, what are my options? It's hard out there. My friends are single. What am I going to do? I don't have anyone. And I don't think any of those reasons are good reasons to stay in a relationship. And that's if you're married or not married. I don't think any of it. If love is not at the forefront of your reasoning, and if that person hasn't shown you, not only told you that they love you, but shown you that they love you, I don't feel like that's where you need to be. And we all know when we feel loved. You don't need someone to tell you, okay, she loves you, he loves you. You feel it. It's love is shown through actions. It's not something to where you go off of, okay, what someone says, because someone can say all day long, I love you, but they abuse you, they disrespect you, they choose to not come home, they disrespect the home, they disregard your children, the children you have together, and what they see you do. They just demonstrate selfish behavior. And I don't think there's any part of love that exhibits selfishness. And it comes down to the persons in the relationship having the strength and the courage to admit when something is no longer working. And I think some people it's hard for them to admit defeat, because that's a feeling that they feel. They just feel defeated, especially if they've kind of been in maybe a marriage before in the past, and then it's like, oh, here we go again, I'm going back to see my attorney for another divorce. It's unfortunate, but I think over time, people who do stay in those situations for the sake of shame or embarrassment, I think they only do a disservice to themselves and their family. Because at the end of the day, when you're not happy, it shows. It will show in your face, it will show in your body, it will show in your health, it will show in all parts of your life. So what good is it to live a life where you're not feeling fulfilled? I don't think anyone should live a life where they don't feel fulfilled. I think everyone deserves happiness, and with happiness, truth plays a part in happiness. So I think when people start to admit their truth, that can make a difference in the quality of their life. And I don't think enough people live in their truth. And as I told the ladies before, if you're raising children, it's a good chance they're going to emulate what they see. So if they see their parents being in a toxic relationship, it's a good chance they'll end up in a toxic relationship very similar. So what do you do when you look up and you see your child in a bad relationship, one that mimicked the one you're in, and that's what they've witnessed their entire life? What do you say? Do as I say, not as I do. And I think that's a lot of people's situation. And I don't think a lot of people really stop to think about it from that point of view. And I just think that you have some people who feel like, well, I mean, I survived it, so they will too. But don't we want better for our children? Do we want our children to go through what we went through? Even if you do feel you survived, did you deserve to go through what you went through? So at the end of the day, I think I would like for people to start living their truth, whatever that is. If you're not happy in a situation, communicate that. Talk about it. Let that person know, okay, this isn't working for me. How can we make this better? What are we doing here? Do we need to stay together? Have that difficult conversation that we really don't want to have, but we really know we need to have. And I feel like once that conversation is had, that's when you truly will start living. You'll start living your truth. So let me know what you think. My channel is about life advice, and As I say, people talk to me all the time and share different situations with me, and I give my feedback, my opinion, but I'm here to see what other people think, men and women, because I know this is something that people go through every day in all cultural groups. It's something that's just not, no one's exempt from it. I mean, it's just what we do. People change, you know, people fall in and out of love. And at the end of the day, it is okay. But I don't think it's okay when we choose to act like something's working when it really isn't. So let me know what you think, your thoughts. Leave me a comment. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button. But I'd love to hear what you have to say on this topic, because you know, I know a lot of people who have gone through this type of situation, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. So let's talk. Let me know your thoughts. Peace and love.